Hello, it's Roz, and I'm back again with the second of three videos I'm doing this weekend because I'm kind of celebrating um, one whole year of having a BookTube channel. And the first thing I need to do before I do anything else is to say happy birthday to Freddie, the Sluggish Reader, and Jack, the Rambling Raconteur, because it turns out that they are my BookTube twins. They are also celebrating their first anniversary of having a channel. Now, this is a tag, and it's the Booktuber Favourites Tag, and I was tagged by Mark Nash, and it was created by a Bibliophile's Journey. But essentially, I'm using this tag as a an excuse, no, a means of um, thanking and celebrating all the brilliant booktubers who've I kind of shared this year with and made me so welcome at the beginning of it, and that I've enjoyed kind of doing things with over the course of the year, and or who I just admire and enjoy. So it's going to be a bit longer than would be desirable for a tag as a rule. And if you don't want to watch it, but you're interested in kind of knowing which booktubers I kind of particularly enjoy, um, I will try and put in the show notes, as Jason Harrigan of Jason Has Books would say, he calls it, in the description. I will try and link to every one of these channels and also name check the commenters that I mentioned who don't have channels. So yeah, speed version, just look at that. So, first prompt is a booktuber you've watched longest. Well, the person who introduced me to booktube was my daughter Tilly of Tilly's Shelf. So, of course, she's a booktuber that I've watched longest. But she kind of sucked me into booktube by telling me about Jane Austen July and Victober. So, Katie of Books and Things and Kate Howe are therefore two of the booktubers that I've watched longest because of their involvement in Jane Austen July and in Victober. Um, Tilly also introduced me to what I guess is my oldest booktube friend, which is Jason Cooper of Old Blues Chapter and Verse. And before I had a channel myself in 2019, I took part in a year-long thing that Jason did, his Mortality Project about books and films. It was really interesting, and it was doing that over the course of 2019 that made me think, yeah, actually, why don't I have a channel? That would be fun, which I did. And I can't mention Jason without throwing in a mention for his lovely, lovely wife Kelly and books I'm not reading. So, prompt number 2. A booktuber you've just started watching. Well, probably the one I've started watching most recently is Barb of the Font, and I mention her because if you haven't seen her version of the Nativity booktube tag, you must. It's hysterical. Another new booktuber that I haven't been watching for very long, but I'm really into, is Tom of LA Books, but he's going to get a mention later on, so I'll leave him for now. Two others that they're not new booktubers, but they're kind of new, relatively new for me, that I've really kind of am enjoying their channels are Berna of Berna's Bookish Adventures, and she's a Turkish booktuber, and the bonus item in every video is she teaches us a Turkish word, except of course I'm hopeless and can't remember them by like 5 minutes later, but it's great. And Justner of Justner's Bookscapades. Oh, I have trouble pronouncing that. It's as bad as Scallywandling, isn't it? And she's a wonderful booktuber from Mumbai who's just an incredibly well-read young woman. Yeah. Question number 3 is about a booktuber that you became friends with or have met. Now, the only booktuber that I've kind of met, I guess, is Shawn the Book Maniac, because we've met on Zoom. So I've actually seen his face and talked to him simultaneously. And Shawn is like, one of my dearest kind of booktube friends, if that makes sense. There's a bunch of booktubers that I would call friends now because I kind of speak to them on Voxer, done kind of share things with them, one with another, you know, group reads and so on, and you get to know people a bit better through that. Um, Brian of Bookish is kind of um, really high on that list, and because we've done a few things together now, and Alan of Big Hard Books and Classics, who I've probably done the most buddy reads with, or group reads or whatever that of anyone on BookTube. Then there's Hannah of Hannah's Books, and Madeline of Made with Books. Madeline and I have done Ulysses and Milton together, so that's serious friendship, isn't it? There's Una of Codex Cantina, who was involved in Faulkner in August. That's how I kind of, and then we've done a Lispector read together. Alba of Seriella is another, and Noah of Everyone Who Reads This Must Converse, and Lukash of Cruel Reader's Thesis. Goodness me, look at all these ridiculous channel names that we have. There's also booktubers who don't have channels, but who I've kind of shared things with on Voxer. Hester Dunlop is one, and Stephanie Cohen's another. So yeah, they're my kind of booktube Voxer friends. I think I probably missed some. Then there's people that I chat to, kind of in comments, kind of or have shared things like Cromwellathon with. Jay Shea would be a great perfect example. Courtney Ferreter's another, and Margaret Pinnard. They're people who I find myself chatting away to in the comments somehow. Another would be Jim. Jim in Tbilisi of Jim's, I think it's Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff is his channel name now. The Quiet Midden. Goodness me, I can't remember. I'm not sure I know the name of the book. Well, she's not really, she's a booktube commenter, but her channel is Beautiful Pictures of Wildlife. So yeah, go and have a look at the links. That's my favourite. And then there's our super commenters like Joe Smith and I think it's Theaelizabet. Theaelizabet is how she kind of describes herself. That, goodness me. Oh, and Stephanie Cohen. Well, she's another Boxer friend, in fact. Where would we be without booktubers, commenters, and it? I feel like we're kind of bookish friends. So there you go. Probably there's a load more that I should have said. Next question though is, who do you get most of your booktube recommendations from? Now, some of the people I could have described as friends I've saved for other prompts, and my number one man for recommendations is Mark Nash, and he could have come into loads of these prompts, to be honest. But he reads things and talks about things that I might not hear about elsewhere. So and when I was doing my video yesterday about my sort of books of the year, I realised that there was a couple in there of my top books that were recommendations from Mark. Thank you, Mark. Another booktuber who is kind of newer to me, but I've realised I really trust his recommendations, is Leo of A Little Book Life. Yeah, if he speaks highly of something, I think, yeah, I'm probably going to like that. Now, question number 5 is a booktuber you watch who reads a genre that you don't. Now, the inevitable answer for this question, first answer for this question, is Steve Donahue, who is like our kind of little patron saint in this corner of BookTube, and he has to be the answer for this question because basically he reads every genre, so he's bound to read genres that I don't, and he certainly does. But his Penguin classic Penguin Every Day that he was doing for most of 2020 kind of it was a wonderful mix of things that I would read and things that I wouldn't, but it was almost became like a daily routine to check in on that. Now, there's a couple of other booktubers who I love to listen to or watch, but they don't read things that I would. And one of those is Peg of the History Shelf. And I admitted to Peg the other day, unfortunately she didn't take offence, that I use her sometimes as almost like an insomnia cure, because I really enjoy listening to her, but I don't need to worry if I fall asleep and don't remember the book she's talking about because I'm not going to read those history books anyway. But I just like Peg. And oh, Jason, Jason Harrigan of what used to be Byways in Bookland and is now Jason Has Books. He reads some very odd, esoteric stuff that I wouldn't read in a million years, but I could listen to him till the cows come home. Now, a booktuber whose videos make you happy. Oh, lots of booktubers videos make me happy, but I've got some sort of top candidates for this answer, and number one is Too Tight Lautrec. Joseph is like just such a lovely, lovely, lovely person, who's what he puts into his sort of literature alley uh, videos is amazing, and he has very special insight around poetry. If you haven't seen him talk about Shakespeare's sonnets, you don't know what you're missing. Um, then there's a couple of kind of booktube duos who I love for the kind of chemistry that they bring to their videos. One is Scott and Nell of Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and the other is the Codex Cantina boys, Una and Crypto. I have to say, I think like with both of those channels, they bring a lot of humour to what they do, but they're also serious readers. Um, and in fact, Una and Crypto's channel is almost like public service broadcasting, but in the best possible way. If anyone's going to persuade me to read short stories, it's probably them. Now, um, the next question is a booktuber you'd love to do a buddy read with. Well, the first answer to that is you. Whoever you are, I probably would enjoy. If it's a book that I want to read, I would love to buddy read one with you. I think like buddy reads and group reads are like one of the best things about BookTube. I get so much out of them. I've got the odd one planned for the year ahead. I've got one planned with Shawn. I've had to be, slotted into his very packed timetable of buddy reads, but I think I think it's for Asian Readathon. We're reading a Korean book. Korean? Yeah, I think so. Um, Laura on Air. We've talked about doing a classic, and I hope we make that happen. But the two booktubers I think I would most like to do a proper buddy read with are Hannah of Hannah's Books and Alba of Seriella, because they're two of my kind of dearest kind of booktube friends, and lovely women, and we've been in kind of group buddy reads together, but I'd really like to do something maybe just with the two of them. We'll try and set that up. I hope they want to do one with me. Question number 8. A booktuber with under 1,000 subscribers who you love. Okay, well, this is where I'm going to talk about Tom LA Books, because he's quite new to BookTube. He doesn't have very many subscribers yet, but he is, I think, a BookTube star in the making, because he has such a lovely voice and such a kind of insightful understanding of books, and he is doing a very. I talked about public service broadcasting from the Codex Cantina lads, didn't I? Well, he's doing a project that's going to last a good 18 months of leading us like Virgil through Dante's Divine Comedy with a video on each canto, and it's not too late to join it because each canto is only about 120 lines and we're about 8 cantos in, so this is a long range project, and a really lovely one. So, and Tom's just a nice person, and Tom, like Leo, Little Book Life, like Madeline, Made with Books, like Sylvia and Elizabeth of Bookish Norse, all of them I really admire. Oh, because Burner's another. They they read books in English and make videos in English, even though that is not their first language. And I just think I'm so impressed by that. Yeah, it knocks me out really. I couldn't possibly do that in the any of the languages I slightly know. So admirable. Then booktuber with over 1,000 subscribers who you love. Well, I've got a few here. 4. Okay. One is Karen from Run Right Reads. She's just so enthusiastic and yeah, lovely and interesting in what she reads. One is Matthew of Maybury Book Club. And it's not just because I love his cats and his little house. He's just very genuine, I think. You know, what you see is what you get, but thoughtful. Um, Another is Britta Bowler. She's someone who's really I picked up on quite early, and I just love her kind of uh, like abrasive but thoughtful way of talking about tops and flops and so on. Yeah, Britta's great. And but my final choice in this section is Claudia of Spinster's Library, and Claudia is one of those booktubers, like Britta, I suppose, that's got quite a lot of subscribers, but feels she still kind of like speaks to you like a small booktuber. If that, yeah, if that's a description that means something to you. Yes, I really enjoy her work, and Claudia is someone where if you're new to BookTube, she's done some really good advice. Her Katie of Books and Things is another one, really good advice about how to BookTube. Now, I've hopelessly ignored all that good advice, but it's there and it's great. Okay, so that was all the prompts apart from who do you tag. Now, I'm outrageously going to use the who do you tag to just like name check a load of other booktubers that I love. I will have missed a load of people in this booktube, and if I've missed you, in this tag, I'm really sorry. And the thing that I haven't done, which I ought to have done, is check which of these people have already done this tag. But what the hell? I'm just going to go for it. So, Emily of Nouvelle Novels, I don't think you have. Tori of Hufflepuff Discovery, Amelia of Amelia Reads, Heidi of My Reading Life, Top Kitten. Yeah, go to her channel just for the kitten footage if I were you. Kim of Middle of the Book March. What a good channel. What a good reader. Karen Evans, lovely person. Sarah of Hardcover Hearts. Oh, a woman after my own heart she is. Amy of A Dusty Bookshelf. Charles Heathcote. I just read one of his books, which was a joy, and he's just very funny. And northern. Yeah, in an entertaining way. Jen the Librarian. Oh, lovely booktuber, and I could name 30 more, but I will stop there. And but anyone who fancies doing this tag, please do. And yeah, if you want to do a buddy read sometime, let me know. Okay.